Hi, folks. Today we're going to talk about HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language. So, what is HTML? HTML defines the information that's going to go on your web page. It's kind of an outline of the information on your web page. It doesn't include the styling, for example, how your background's going to look, how your words, what color your words are, if there are any images in the background, that type of thing. That's what CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, is for. And it doesn't give your web page any other functionality. That's what JavaScript is for, and we'll get to all of that later. So, HTML web pages are made up of two different things. One is tags, and the other is attributes. So, what are tags? Tags define how your browser will format your content. On the other hand, attributes are words that describe the tag's behavior. So we're going to start right away with tags. Now, there are three main tags that make up every single web page. The first one is HTML. HTML basically describes to the browser that you're going to be using HTML in your web page, or to define or to document your web page, let's just say. And just on a side note, you'll notice that each time I write a tag here, JSFiddle here creates a closing tag. This is called a closing tag here, and the difference is the closing tag has a / before the same word as the opening tag, and this is going to wrap the information that it needs to wrap. Okay, so HTML, as I said, was the first tag that will always be in a web page. The second one is the head. Now, the head holds different types of information. It holds metadata, which isn't really important right now. It holds link to your CSS, which we will learn about later. It can also hold a link to your JavaScript, which we will learn about later. And it also holds one other tag, which is not super important, but in a way is kind of important, which is your title tag. Now, the title tag is what you see when you are looking at the tab in your browser, and you won't be able to see it here because JSFiddle doesn't really show that, so you're not going to see anything right now. But if I were to switch to a browser here and we looked up here at the tab here, you would see beginning HTML. That is what that title tag is for, to create that. And that's going to kind of tell Google, tell search, give it information for searching and that type of thing. And you'll learn more about that later. The other very important tag that we include in our web pages is the body tag. Body tag is important because we put everything that you see on the web page inside the body tag. And that's where we're going to discover a few more of our tags that we use in everyday web programming. So let's begin with H1. And before I forget, actually, this HTML, this head, and this body are all only used once in every single web page, just one time. Remember that. All right, let's get back to our header tag, or H1 tag. This is an H1 tag, and there are 6 header tags. The H1 is the largest one, and it is used for creating like titles, kind of like when you think about a newspaper and the title of an article. And each subheader will have a higher number, but will actually be smaller in terms of font size. If you'll notice here, here's header 2, and it's already a little bit smaller, all the way down to H6, which is going to be your smallest header tag. Another popular tag that we're going to use is the P tag, and the P tag is kind of obvious. It's for the paragraph, right? It's, for example, where the article goes when you're reading your newspaper, where the header might have been the title of the tag. You might have had a subheader that was a higher number, and then you'd have a paragraph tag, which would be the article, or what's going to be said within your paragraph. And you can have several of these paragraphs, and you can use all of those and reuse all of these, not like the first 3 that I showed you, but you can have several paragraphs on the page. And if you'll notice this spacing here, a paragraph comes with a defined element through CSS that we won't talk about that creates a gap in between these paragraphs. However, there's one important thing to know. HTML will not notice white space after the first space. So I can do this right here and create all of these spaces, but you'll notice when I run, it's only going to acknowledge that first space. So this space in between isn't going to matter. That would not be how to solve a spacing problem if you were looking for those to be separated. So that's just a heads up, just to know. So another popular tag that we have is the image tag, which will bring us to attributes, because the image tag uses attributes. And as we said before, the attributes will kind of tell your tags how to behave. So in this case, the image tag takes a source, and that source tells the tag what image to render. So for example, I'm going to grab a picture right here and place this link inside the source tag. And if I run it, it's going to show us the picture. And that's how that works. This source is an attribute that says go to this website and grab this image inside an image tag. And you'll also notice another very important thing. An image tag doesn't need to have an opening and a closing. This is called a self-closing tag. And the reason for this is that if we create an image tag, there's nothing that would go in between the opening and closing tag. So when that happens, we simply put a / at the end of the tag to say, let's close this tag right away. And there's a couple of popular ones of that. There's another tag called break, like this, and you won't really be able to see that, but it'll just create a break underneath, excuse me, and this is a horizontal rule tag, and if you'll notice right down here, actually if I reverse this, you'd probably see it maybe a little bit better. So let's do it like that. And here you can see I created a horizontal rule first, horizontal rule it's called, and then afterwards I created a break. And if I put a break up here like this, you'll probably see a space in between the picture and the tag. This can get a little tricky, but that's basically how that works. So let's move on to the other popular tags. Another popular tag is the anchor tag, and it also takes an attribute called href. And this anchor tag is how we link to different things. I'm sure you've clicked on links in the web browser, and this is how we click on a link to the web browser. For example, if I were to type http www.codeimmersives.com, and if I were to give it one more attribute, which I have to do for JSFiddle, and give it a target, and the target is going to be a blank page because I want it to open in another tab, you're going to see nothing is what you're going to see right now. And you see nothing because with an anchor tag, we also have to put something between the opening and the closing to create the link like that. And there we go. So now you should see Codeimmersives. And if I click on that Codeimmersives link, there you go. You're going to see the Codeimmersives website. Simple as that, right? So now there are a lot of other tags. There's one more really important one that I didn't get to actually, and I'll go ahead and tell you about that one. It's called the unordered list tag. The unordered list tag is how we make lists of things. I think you see it sometimes in your nav bar. For example, up here, this is an example of an unordered list. It's just horizontal, and some unordered lists can be vertical. And inside this UL, we create what is called list items. And a list item, I'll just show you, is created just like that. And you can create as many list items inside your unordered list, and they will all be basically grouped together or wrapped within your unordered list tag, like that. Item 3. So now you should have 3 items down here. 1, 2, 3. And that's how you create a list. So these are some of the tags that you're going to be using. There's really a huge list of tags that you're going to be using. And I like to recommend a cheat sheet here, a complete list of HTML tags that give you all the tags that you're going to be able to look up and use on your web pages to create simple but great web pages. So here you go. Okay, we'll see you on the next video.